Hello, this is Greg Fisher. I'm talking today about the floods in central Texas, and I want to look at all of that through the lens of Lamentations chapter 3. This is Jeremiah's Third Lament. And our hearts are breaking today, and Texas is mourning the devastating loss of young lives that were just swept away in floodwaters. A tragedy, but it's uniting politicians and artists and leaders and families in sharing all of this grief. But in our deepest sorrow, some ancient wisdom speaks today. Jeremiah's Third Lament reveals an undying hope when despair seems overwhelming. When the Guadalupe River swallowed homes in minutes, when families waited on rooftops as brown water swallowed the roads, we ask with Jeremiah, has the Lord abandoned us in the darkness? And Jeremiah comes back with three answers. Sitting in the ruins of Jerusalem, he tells us, because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed. Consider the dawn after the flood. Coast Guard rescuers were lifting survivors into helicopters. 165 lives pulled skyward. Petty Officer Scott Ruskin, exhausted after hours in the storm, embodies what we see in verse 23. His mercies, speaking of God, his mercies are new every morning. And each rescue was a sacrament of that promise. And then the counselors at Camp Mystic, when the waters charged, they formed human chains, all directed by the camp director, Dick Eastland, carried children uphill until the current took him to his death. The Lord is my portion, whispers verse 24. And indeed, in that moment of being swept to his death, Dick Eastland did understand the Lord is my portion. That sacrifice reminds us that God's faithfulness often wears human skin. And the neighbors, boat owners who plunged into streets that are now rivers, strangers that were dragging strangers onto makeshift rafts. The Lord is good, Jeremiah reminds us. The Lord is good to those who hope in him. Verse 25. Look, these people were out there rescuing, pulling people from the water, and their courage was not an absence of fear. It was a hope that made them buoyant on a sea of fear. And then finally, I listen on social media, people asking questions like, where was God when all of this happened? I want to tell you something. This isn't about God sending floods. It's about God meeting us in the floods. When the waters recede, they leave behind mud and memories of hands pulling us upward, of mercies that arrive hourly, of a faithfulness that is not written in dry theology, but soaked in uniforms and trembling hugs. So we grieve the 82 lives lost, and we honor the rescuers, and we cling to this. Whenever the floodwaters rage, greater still is that love that walks upon the water. Thank you for listening. My name is Greg Fisher.